On today's episode, we welcome Daniel Paes, founder of Runink. Daniel, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, Daniel, what's your background for this, and why did you start the business on your side?
Yes, I've been working with data for almost 20 years now. And one thing that I saw in most businesses, the way that they want to advance with new technologies, but sometimes they are not really ready for it. So based on that, I built Runink that helps really to got the best in the data without going on the trouble of understanding all the process that comes behind of it.
Hmm. And when did you start the business?
My all my researches have been starting for almost 5 years now.
Okay.
But the product itself, as I'm selling nowadays, I decided to commercialize it mid last year.
Okay, not bad. And where does your experience come from? Is it been a while that you're into this kind of business?
Yes, I've been working as a consultant, well, almost for 20 years, as I mentioned, but for I would say the latest 15 to 10 years, I've been helping a lot retailers and some financial and insurance institutes. So there I realized that most of the people that either understand the data or has access to it does not have action or any power on it. So they prepare really good dashboards, they clean the data, they got really ready to be consumed by some players that are not even aware of their existence.
I understand that. So, as the CEO of the business right now, what's your role? Are you still like the tech guy in the business, or you're more of the decision maker? Where is your role in that business?
Well, I play both hats in the sense that I do get close to the business, whereas I help a lot the customers to understand their struggling points. But at the same time, I put my technical founder hat, where I needed to go deep on the coding and developing the tools itself. Whereas I can have some help on developing some of the functionalities. Sometimes the time to get it to in the functional requirements and pass to developers, sometimes overseeing the value that it can bring if I just got my hands on.
And how was the switch from like the tech guy to like actually owning a business? Because like sometimes you hear people like, well, like I add this service, I'm good at doing this thing, but now business is another animal completely. Marketing, sales, all those things. So it's like, how did you manage to be both and kind of learn all of it?
Well, thanks to the nature of my work, I've helped a lot of the business to really get the value uh, from, I would say, from their technical initiatives. And well, of course, that comes a lot coding at the same time. However, and thanks with all the advancements on the AI and how things got a little easier to remove a little bit the need of getting so deep sometimes. It helps to really go easy, for example, on the tech aspect. So even though I put my hands on, this time I can afford to not go deeper into a lot of document material before starting to develop and build something that bring business value more quickly.
That makes sense. So I think right now you hear that a lot. Like with AI, people just start businesses now. It's like not easier. You think it's, and when you get into it, you're like, oh god, damn, there's so much to learn. So totally understand that side of the business. Coming back to what you said about data, that like business just start with data. They think like just implementing AI is good. What's the big struggle of those big business that they think they make a good decision, but how do they actually gap like what they need in the learning of it?
Well, these days it's not that hard to find support from big players such as Google, Amazon to help speed up the AI adoption on companies. However, there are some struggling points on how good is good data in a sense. And well, it's not that hard that with the, well, messy data comes messy dashboards or messy insights. And it's not because we are using an AI that this will simply vanish. Sometimes it can simply pops quicker. So, in the sense, AI these days are, well, we are still learning in a way of getting the best on where it lasts. So,
Mm.
these days, even though, well, even my own company, I use AI daily, not for the product only, but also to maintain all these channels that you mentioned, right? Marketing, sales. Uh, I do need some help and I use AI on that. However, I never remove the human behavior on that. And these days, most companies, well, I believe last couple of months, there was a huge layoff from Salesforce, and then they just came back on saying that they might oversaw how this can be implemented. So scenarios like that, if you simply acquire news tech or all these new nuances, it will come with some problems, in my opinion.
And do you have any experience of like those problems of people just trying to implement new thing like directly, not thinking about the data, not thinking about anything? Like, what does those experience kind of look like?
Well, this is really what I would say that I built my career on. Because, well, let's face it, most of the time, we do have a lot of AI, a lot of new stuff that we can use to get the best on our data. However, it's not all the companies or all the tools that allow us to see sometimes some paper note that comes from the warehouse or even some post-it that someone left on your table. Right, things like that. Sorry, these small chunks of data, they do need to be processed as well. And sometimes people, well, just leave it aside, maybe due to complexity, or because they cannot even think that this could be useful for some precision.
So what does it look like whenever you come into the business to help them? Is it like you try to get all those paper data, all those, how does this kind of work when you start with the client to kind of get all of those information properly?
Well, to be honest, everything starts with databases, but if we go, depending on the business scenario, most of the data do come from papers, so or even Excel. You would be surprised. So most of the time, well, I unfortunately most of the clients do not have the budget to go and get all the data they have in their possession. So we try to go really on smaller, I would say smaller victories. So for example, if they do have a database that is connected to their main system, we're gonna start by there without going really crazy on well, new data that they haven't thought about in a different format that they can analyze to really things that exist already that they might be overseeing. For example, if we go a little technical, we go really on tables, right, and the dashboards that we can produce from those tables. And most of the time, this is made by an analyst. These days, we do have AIs that comes, would say, baked in most of the data and cloud providers, such as Google and Amazon, I said before. But they do empower power users in a sense that if you're not fully aware on the data that you're analyzing, well, you'll be just following instructions from a tool that is pretty much guiding you on things that you should be aware of. So it's not only seeing tables and fields, but also what actually means that on the business that you're representing. And this small twitch is the piece that most of the consultants like myself help the companies to really not vomit. Sorry about the English, but really vomit new tools or new
Mm.
stack or new stuff that every week comes, well, pretty much every hour these days.
Yeah.
But it's really on the going really on grounding on even before that. If a company wants to use AI, for example, what does this AI would do? Or even better, what would you uh, expect to accomplish using it? And based on that, then we will be refining which kind of data that makes sense. Because, well, in the end, if all the data that for that specific task comes from digital sources, well, maybe the papers won't give any value at all.
Hmm. And how do you see like those data automatizations, AI are working in the area of like logistic claims, operations? Like I think that's the kind of niche that you're into. So how do you bring those systems into those kind of businesses?
Yes, well, these days it's not really uncommon to have logistics using RPAs, right, to automate the processing on the most of the time the fulfillment and the claims, which are the two main aspects that I help most of my clients. So in this scenario, most of these tools are really, I would say, more rigid because in the end, yes, they are automated, but automation comes in different flavors. And in systems like that, it always comes back to some decision points, right? Which are good. However, they are still lack some of the conditionals that might not be on that specific scenario that was built. So
Hmm.
the evolution that comes with AI, it's really to add on those decision points, an extra layer of a little bit of reasoning. It's a tricky word to use when we are talking about machines, but it's in a sense that if we vulgarize, it will work in a, I would say, an enhanced conditional flow. In a sense that it helps to give a little context, which is really evolving. These days, the infrastructure that you will need to have this kind of system, it's really, I would say, more lean and way cheaper if we compare even with 5 years ago. And these days, it's not that complicated to use these kind of tools to get extra information from documents. It's not something that rare. We do have libraries that we can use to extract this data and even feed this into those RPAs. However, using AI that will not only got this information, but maybe even go back into the same document and see a little extra information that it might be missed during the conditional flow, that is the difference that we'll start to see more and more.
Hmm. And do you always want like a human to still look at the results or still kind of supervise what it's doing, or it's really just 100% AI automated by itself?
No, it's always a good, as I mentioned before, the infrastructure comes really not only cheap, but more robust, in a sense that if you are fully automating these kind of decisions, there are ways to see really the quality of those results and see if those AIs are really doing a good job. We are not even talking about the data there anymore. We are talking about how the AI itself judges its own quality. Sorry, its own work, the quality of its own work. So these kind of things are getting easier and easier for technical founders to get the grasp and answer real business, I would say, pain points, such as the one that we are solving at Running.
Hmm. And I think coming back into your experience of like the 20-year in the industry or in the IT world, what do you think is the cloud was like a big subject before AI came in, or is AI brought the cloud subjects? What came first? Because right now I feel like even cloud people in the past conversation that I had is like, oh, cloud is kind of new. It's new in the past like 5 years, but it's like I never heard of cloud, and now that I speak about AI, now I hear like data, cloud, all of it. So how does those conversation came in? Was it AI came in, then people talk about data, or data was already a big subject and then AI came after?
Well, to be honest, I've been working with cloud for almost 10 years now.
Okay,
And
yeah, that
I would say that in 2017, we did have all the evolution that we are facing these days. Not only on AI, because at that time, a lot of machine learning started to pop more. Sorry, Google released a couple of years after their TensorFlow models that helped to build all the foundations that we are using these days for these what we call foundation models on the AI. I don't want to lose ourselves a lot on that, but it's just to show that data itself. was always there. The problem is before we didn't got enough compute to got even the advancements that we achieve these days
Huh.
on the concepts because AI itself dated some concepts are dated from the 60s.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thanks to the cloud, we started to be able to experiment more. So
Mm,
fraud systems started to got more easy, and due to at that time the lower cost on maintaining their infrastructure and the interest of exploring without needing to pay for the hardware, it started to get more and more value on the cloud for
mm.
well the days that they are today. Companies like OpenAI release these new functionalities, which comes to the AI in the end, but helps to explore better the cloud services that these days are way more mature if we compare from a decade before.
That's so surprising that like in the last like 5 to 10 years, like all that happened. You think about like 1990s, nothing was happening, internet was just starting, and now it's like all the clouds, all the data, all the AI, all the everything is like here in the past like 5 years.
Well, I would say that over the last give or take 7 to 9 years, what's changed that allow us to do these kind of experiments is really the way that we handle the data. Because before, as I started to mention about the databases, well, most of the data were coming from it. We did have some exploration on getting data from images, from PDFs, from files. However, at that point in time, there weren't that many companies that could afford to even explore this kind of data. And with all those small companies that got really more visibility in the way that they handle the data, that helped us to as a consumer because well in the end we needed to got more data because we started to got this behavioral analysis on the clients and one thing step on the other we needed more compute and now if we see even the RAM is way so expensive that even workstations would not have that many power that we had before. So going back, I would say that over this last decade, what's changed is really companies are starting to see the value on non-structured data, as they call in the market, but it's really to grasp even those small post-it or papers quicker with a camera, right? We as a consumers now it's not that complicated. We got our cell phone and we can deposit a check. It's hard to get a check these days, but
Yeah.
it's just one scenario that helps really as a consumer. Or if we go on the logistics, one good way to see this evolution is before we had those systems that had some comments there, and it would be hard to get extra details on that. These days, with AI, you can grab the same systems, but also check any images that were attached, or
Mm.
even thermal images to see if the package itself has some damage that we could go and look for a claim, for example. These kind of things are RPAs. Well, they are not that evolved on image analysis in the way that AIs are these days. So I just try to bring a context and an example on how before we only had those, again, tabular data, or in the best scenario, a file that is structured in a way that we were expecting to analyze. In contrast that these days, you can have your cell phone take a picture and ask straight on that, how should I be concerned about that?
Hmm. I totally understand that. So, just coming back to Runink, you guys focus on basically identifying values of lost data to like recuperate. What do you guys do with all of that?
Well, to be honest, in a way that we do is really bringing this kind of value. So our tool is we got all the data that you give us, and we got sense from it before automating any kind of action. So from the data that you provided, we first see which kind of relationships this data has, and even if this data is mature enough for you to fully automate your decisions on that.
Hmm.
So yes, I would say that we first start with what we call data maturity and AI assessment, which is not something that we created, is a term that is well known, well, starting to build more and more, I would say, catch on the market, but it's really to see, because we always hear about, okay, bad data brings bad decision, but in the end, what is bad data? What is good data, right? So we first start with this assessment, and we give to the client, okay, from this data here, you might be looking at these items before fully automating, if possible. Moving on that, we then do some analysis on the rules that we could find. Because sometimes tables itself, well, people can read those values and see what was missing, what is not, which is the first part. But we go a little deeper. We go and see, okay, this function here seems to have the same outcome of these other function here. Are they the same? So
Mm,
can we use that to assume that this is important for example, this stock, if we go on stock strategy. So this rule here, is it important for this stock strategy, yes or no? Again,
hmm,
on the assessment, not only on the data itself, but also on the rules that your analysts or even someone really trying to just finish the day and putting all the data that it can. Sometimes it's let it slide sometimes, and the tool helps on trying to match here and there. And moving on there, it will then provide, okay, from this, we saw that maybe you can file a claim on this specific day because you only received 10 instead of 15. And
hmm.
well, this is on the claims, but also on the provisioning. If you got on the same scenario, and as you only received 10, and in the end you only sold 8, maybe we
Hmm.
can start on, well, ordering 10 only and see how it goes, based again on all this maturity and assessment that we did.
So it basically finds places where the business kind of lose money out of their stock or things that they're selling without even knowing it because it was missing from the beginning and the claim was like gone since whatever how many months. Hmm. And do you see that happening often with the businesses?
Yes. Yes. I would say that I was happy to work with some retailers here in Canada. And one thing is always comes in the end that the financial year when it's closing, there are a lot of pressure, or even the end cycle of each store, you can see that there is a lot of stress. And with the key dates such as Black Fridays, it's got even worse to follow on some operational processes that again, sometimes might be lost. And for example, if you go on Black Friday, we start Black Friday and then we have the holidays and then we have, well, our own vacations. And sometimes the claim from the Black Friday itself might be here and there lost or even not fully claimed. Because again, maybe you have some dates to file those claims and you couldn't find everything. So tools like ours would give for those that needs to make this decision the empowerment of having extra arms and legs, I would say like that, because the idea is really for those people that have this need, tools like like ours would be, I would say, in the responsibility to give quality quality software in a sense that fraud or even well, people that are try to find their ways into using this tool to properly use it and avoiding any, well, or at least most of the backslash.
Hmm. And how do you explain to like new clients or people that want to start with your business that it's like it could be a good ROI for them? Is there like an average of like lost money that you guys find out, or how do you explain that to the business to actually implement that into their data and actually go and find those lost? cost somewhere.
Well, the whole point is really in an actual need that sometimes got lost. Well, we realized that most of the ROE are all the sometimes even hype terms to try to catch the attention works like some lamp for moths in a sense that at first can be shining, but you can burn all your economies on that. And again, I will go back on small things such as let us start to use Google Cloud or let us start to use AWS, and then you started to click and point, and in the end, you got a 30K bill to pay. So companies like ours really bring the value in the sense that you should not have things that you're not actually using. So in a way that we even the value that we bring, it's first again most of the tools like RPAs can bring those values like automated claims and automated fulfillment orders. But we go deeper in showing that you don't need to only count on the rule that maybe someone that is not even there anymore wrote. You
Yeah.
can advance on that specific rule to see if first it's still valid for your business. And even if you might be optimizing it somehow to go again using the same tooling that the client already has without adding an extra need. So that comes the difference of these days the ROE from the outdated dashboards, right? Where again dashboards, heat maps, all those nitty and gritty to show the data how data is pretty still has its value. But for someone that is managing stock or needs to have a really more precise information, to be honest, I saw a lot of clients, and not only the technical ones, but I'm talking really C-level ones that go straight on Excels and leave all the dashboards aside.
Hey. Yeah, that's no good. And sometimes you don't really think about how many things those guys like have to like think about, and all the stocks they have. It's like in the 20,000, 30,000, even sometimes more. And it's like, how do you keep track of all that if you don't even have anything that's if kind of go with it? It's like someone do one error at somewhere, and it's like it's a domino effect until the end where it's like, oh, now we are missing like 20 or 30 or 100. So it's like it's really impressive to think about those case studies sometimes.
Yeah, and not only that, because most of the time, the C-level, the people that can actually take an action and even acquire new tools, let's face it, as you mentioned, right? There are a lot of things happening on the same time on their head, and they need to stop everything to think, okay, my data might not be that clean because I'm not using the correct tools. And that's the piece that we try to bring with running that in the end it is really simple. You use the tool, you got money, it's you, and we share that.
Huh. There you go. Instead of just always coming in with your own package and being like, this is the only thing that works, you kind of want to take the package and the system that actually work for them.
Yes, yes, and here again, the whole goal is really to not stack on another tool that people will be losing interest on. And this is one thing that I've been seeing over and over with some SMEs and even other SaaS founders that I had the opportunity to speak with. Uh, most of the pain point is really, okay, why would I need a new tool? I already have everything that I need. Or even I already have a subscription on ChatGPT, so why would I need another AI? Things like that happens a lot.
I cannot totally understand that part. So coming back to Runink, what's going well right now for the business that you thought maybe couldn't be as good, or what's kind of easy for the business right now?
Well, to be honest, the this empowerment of analyzing this data that was sitting there, and people never have thought about that. In a sense that yes, we do have really big players on the data governance and the quality aspects. But the point that we bring is not really, as we call in the market, vitamin. We are really working as a painkillers in a sense that these days most of the our competitors are either specialized only on the data maturity or quality or understanding how your data is loaded, whereas others are only focusing on bringing some value on the table, but that can also bring some backlogs and some extra work that you need to find better developers to work in the future home. So at Runic, I believe that we're grateful to see that we're able to narrow these two in a way that well bring value with cheap hardware and software.
While giving the same service as the other kind of price point. That's great.
Yes, yes, and not only that, right? Because we work a lot with partnerships, such as well with Google and some other big data players, to really bring our tool not only not as a competitor, but as an extra add-on.
Mm. Hmm. So what's the biggest challenge then for the business right now?
Well, to be honest, is most of the logistics and supply chain have their own way of doing stuff. And it will be really hard to tell someone that is doing the way that wake at 5 a.m., see all the distribution centers, see everything that's going in, all the ports and everything, and tell them, okay, now there is this AI that could help you on orchestrating and analyze that. I would say to the first blocker is really to got people on the field to give it a shot.
Mm. So it's like basically they're in the old generation mindset, and now it's like unlocking that to the new system, new technology that's now arriving or is here now. So it's like it's always babbling those kind of CEOs sometimes.
Well, sometimes yes, but it won't stop there because the CEO will see the value right away. But
Mm,
at the same time, we do have some challenges on the onboarding because,
mm,
most of the times the CEO will be the last one, and there will have a lot of logistic managers, for example, or warehouse when they're doing the warehouse planning, or even the services that they will need to look at. Uh, People that are really on the field are one of our main audience because those are the ones that will have the time that will be saved that will turn in the end on nice finance for the C level.
hmm. And what's the big goals for Runink in the next 6 to 12 months or the next year coming in?
Well, we do want to straighten more our current partnerships and also have a better presence here in Canada. So we'll be really going more close to development of small cities to see how we can help small businesses to really got AI and bring the value for its own business without needing consultants or big players to show them what they should be doing.
Hmm. And right now your clients are they more mid-size or more large size or more smaller size?
Well, I will go more on the mid and smaller size. We are going forward some certifications to look for enterprise level as they ask for some security extra layers, which at the time that we are now, we haven't had the need so far.
Not yet, but it's coming.
Yes, yes. Well, hopefully by the end of the year.
Oh, yes. So for the listeners who want to maybe learn more about Runic or try to reach you, where should they go and how could they talk with you?
Well, we do have our site. Can simply fill out a form there. If not, we do have our company website or even LinkedIn. If anyone wants to connect or talk a little bit, feel free to reach.
Perfect, Daniel. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate the conversation.
Likewise, and thanks again for having me.
Thank you.